What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90, and today it is time for the part 2 of the Champions League round of 16. If we have a quick review of the first part, we had Man City to beat Copenhagen 3-0. They ended up winning 3-1. We had Real Madrid to beat Leipzig 3-1. They ended up just getting a little 1-0 win. We had Bayern Munich to beat Lazio 3-1. Lazio contributed the 1 goal to that equation, and Bayern Munich fell short, didn't score at all. That was the shock result of the first part of the round of 16, and we correctly predicted PSG to beat Real Sociedad 2-0 with Kylian Mbappe to score as well. So not a bad start, 3 out of 4 results, but I did suggest that they were all going to be fairly straightforward to predict, and to be fair, the Bayern Munich one wasn't the most shocking of all shocks in the world. I did actually say in my Premier League prediction video before it happened that I could see that being a draw. I did not expect Lazio to win by any stretch. I still think Bayern Munich will qualify past Lazio, however. So let's get in and get started with the final 4 fixtures of the round of 16 first leg of the Champions League. If you want to get exclusive members tips and accumulators like the members flashing up on your screen, then you can join the Patreon link using the description down below. We did have a winning both teams to score treble from the Conference League yesterday. Of course, there are so many leagues and competitions going on, I can't make videos on everything, but I can post about tips from, up to 20 different leagues and competitions on the Patreon. So if you join that down below, you get a shout out in every video and the exclusive tips and accumulators as well. The first fixture we have of the 4 is Inter Milan up against Atletico Madrid, and I think this is going to be a very close game, but I've got to say I've been impressed with Inter Milan, especially, their home form is just brilliant. They're getting the job done. I could see them winning by exactly 1 goal, and I think Inter actually, they're quite high up in terms of favourites to win the competition, more so than you probably would expect. So Inter Milan are favourites to win the Champions League behind the big 4 of each country and Arsenal. So behind Man City, the Giants of England, Real Madrid of Spain, Bayern Munich of Germany, PSG of France, and Arsenal as well in the middle. Inter Milan are the next favourites, beating out the likes of Barcelona, Dortmund, Napoli, Leipzig, all those other teams in the competition. Inter Milan looking pretty good. I think they're going to get this win at home, and I think they're going to beat Atletico Madrid. Are they going to qualify from this round? I'm going to say yes, but I don't know. I think this could be a win for Inter and then a draw in the return leg. Atletico Madrid could qualify, but I'm going to go for Inter Milan to win this one, 2-1, and the tip is Inter Milan to win at 1.9. After this, we have PSV Eindhoven up against Borussia Dortmund. Both teams with resounding victories in their leagues. PSV Eindhoven coming off a 5-1 win. We tipped PSV and both teams to score over on the Patreon for that fixture, and Dortmund beating Freiburg 3-0 in the Bundesliga. We tipped Borussia Dortmund and over 2.5 goals from the Bundesliga over on the Patreon in that fixture. So all the main leagues, for example, all the teams in the Champions League, we will be doing tips on Patreon for their respective leagues that I simply cannot put in these videos. And the week before that, we had Ajax and Eindhoven both to score in that fixture as well. So again, I love the likes of Eindhoven and all those teams in the leagues that are basically the best of those lesser leagues, because they usually come through. I think this is going to be a very close one. This is the first and only draw I'm going to be predicting in the round of 16 first leg predictions. I'm going to go for PSV 1, Borussia Dortmund 1. These teams have only met once in their history, and it was a friendly 7 years ago actually now, and Dortmund ended up winning that one 4-1. But I think the gap between the two teams is slightly close since then. Dortmund not quite as good, PSV a little bit better, but Dortmund are on a good run of form, and I think they're probably going to qualify through in the second leg after taking a draw from this game. I think both teams would be sort of happy from that, so that way they can just be like, right, let's decide this tie in a one-off game in the second leg. I'm going to go 1-1. The tip is both teams to score 1.57, because both teams, I think, are going to score. I see that happening. I don't see Dortmund winning to 0. I definitely don't see PSV winning to 0. I'd imagine Dortmund they are outsiders in this fixture, so it might be worth looking at Dortmund double chance, to be honest. That's at 1.66, which is higher odds than both teams to score. I don't think PSV win, but they could. I think both teams will score regardless, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. After this, it's the big one. It's FC Porto up against Arsenal. Now, a good friend of mine, Emilio, he is a Porto fan, and I, of course, am an Arsenal fan. And when we first got drawn against Porto, I was gassed. Porto weren't in great form back in December. Arsenal were, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is great. Arsenal were going to do amazing. And then a month later, Porto were in really good form, and Arsenal were in really bad form, and I thought, I'm now not very confident. But then a month later again, now that the actual tie has rolled around, Porto not in as good form as they were, before, and Arsenal seeming to actually pick up some results. Porto just coming off of a loss in their league against Arouca. And that was a bit of a surprise. Then drawing 0-0 at home to Rio Ave as well. Not brilliant. Before that, had a decent run of fixtures. But like I said, these last couple of weeks, since February started really, Porto actually yet to pick up a win. Whereas Arsenal, since February has started, have beaten Liverpool 3-1 and West Ham 6-0. So it comes at a good time for Arsenal. And I'm going to go for the Gunners. Away win 2-1. If we look at the recent results and stuff from Arsenal and Porto, you have to go a long way back. Obviously, it's all Champions League. Arsenal winning 5-0 at the Emirates off the back of a 2-1 loss away from home to come back and win the tie. I think Arsenal are actually good enough these days to beat Porto away from home. I'm going to go 2-1 and then obviously get the job done at the Emirates. I'm going to go both teams to score as my tip at 1.8. Arsenal to win is 1.72. I could easily see this being a 1-1, and I think if Arsenal get away with a draw or a win, they'll be absolutely happy with that. I think Porto wouldn't be too disappointed with a draw either, but will understand that they have a very tough test at the Emirates following that. So I think Arsenal should definitely qualify. As an Arsenal fan, I'm sceptical. We haven't been in the Champions League knockout stages in a long time, but this feels like the best chance we've got to win the Champions League, honestly, since 2006, and that was the competition in which we were literally winning the Champions League final at one point. And I remember watching that, and it was a really bitter end. Almunia, you let me down big time. But I'm going to go for Arsenal to win this one 2-1. Both teams to score the tip at 1.8. And then finally, Napoli up against Barcelona. This is going to be a really interesting fixture because Barcelona, you never really know what you're going to get. And Napoli, you never do know either. They're in similar form, 58% form, 2 losses, 1 draw and 3 wins in their last fixtures. Barcelona have kind of got Napoli's number. They've played 8 times since 2011, Napoli winning only 1 of them. And for that win, you have to go all the way back to 2014, where Napoli won 1-0 in a friendly. Other than that, they haven't won at all. Recent results, Napoli lost out to AC Milan. We tipped that over on the Patreon. Barcelona drawing 3-3 with Granada. That was an absolute coupon buster for us over on the Patreon, because had Barcelona won that game against Granada, that would have seen 2 more 5-fold accumulators come in for odds of 10-1 each. So that was a little bit of a letdown. But the week before, we did have Barcelona to beat Alaves and both teams to score, which combined with the Valencia and both teams to score result as well to make a nice little La Liga result and both teams to score double. So Barcelona, they're not doing too bad, I guess, but you never really do know what you're going to get. Like we saw there with them having to come back from behind against Granada multiple times, it was a little bit of a shock to the system. Napoli not at their fluid best as they were last year, the year before that, and Barcelona, you just don't know. It's going to be a very good tie, and the odds are identical. Napoli to win, Barcelona to win, both at 2.55, and the draw at 3.6. I've got Barcelona to win this one 2-1, but I might change my mind. I might change it to 2-2. I've almost convinced myself, certainly away from home. I think Barcelona will progress. I'd imagine they'll be like 1.6, 1.7 favourites to qualify. Let's have a look. It is 1.57 for Barcelona to qualify, but they might have to do it at home in the second leg. So I'm going to change my prediction from 2-1 to Barcelona to 2-2 and keep the same tip of both teams to score at 1.57. We'll go 2-2. I think Barcelona will qualify, but Napoli definitely have a chance, and I could even see them getting a win in this first leg. So basically my tips for part 2 of the Champions League round of 16, Inter Milan to beat Atletico Madrid, and then both teams to score. I think you could definitely do both teams to score for all 4 fixtures, but with Inter Milan and Atletico, it's not as certain, and the odds are even. So the odds are that both teams won't score, even though I think they will. So if you want to go PSV Dortmund, Porto Arsenal, Napoli Barca, a both teams to score treble, then be my guest. And that would then leave us nicely set up for a very close second leg, other than the likes of Man City, who are basically already qualified, and PSG as well. Lazio could potentially upset Bayern Munich with a 1-goal lead, and I think Real Madrid will be fine with their goal lead as well. Atletico Madrid could make a comeback against Inter Milan in the second leg. I think PSV, Borussia Dortmund will be very close. Arsenal, Porto, if Arsenal get the win, I would say it's more or less decided. And Napoli, Barca, we could see an upset with Napoli knocking out Barcelona as well. So that is going to do it for the Champions League round of 16 fixtures. Please do drop a like, leave your predictions down in the comments below. I'll see you very soon for Premier League predictions, and I cannot wait to continue with this competition as well, heading into the quarterfinals and beyond. Big up Arsenal. Hopefully we can get the win, and I will see you in the next video very soon.